Hey y'all, what's up? I hope you are well. My name is Patricia, your born and raised small town girl, here to remind you that the unthinkable can happen anywhere. Welcome back, guys, and if you are here for the first time, welcome. I am so glad you are here. Today, we are diving into part 5 of our Route 29 series about young women who have disappeared in small town areas near Route 29 in Virginia. This week, we will be talking about the disappearance of Sage Smith. Before I get started, I want to say that Sage was a transgender woman. Here at This Doesn't Happen Here, we are proud allies. When I was doing my research, I noticed many news outlets and some of her family referred to Sage as he. I, however, will not be doing that. I will be referring to her as her preferred pronouns of she, her. We respect people here and believe everyone has the right to be exactly who they are. That being said, let me tell you about this radiant young woman. Sage Smith was born Deshad LaQuinn Smith on December 13th, 1992, to her parents Latasha Dennis and Dean Smith. Not long after she was born, her parents divorced and her father was incarcerated on some drug charges. But once he got out, he did rebuild his relationship with Sage. Both of her parents eventually remarried and had more children, giving Sage a big extended family. Still, much of her childhood was present with her grandmother Lolita Cookie Smith, who primarily raised her due to instability at home. Everyone who knew Cookie said she was completely devoted to Sage, and you can tell she truly loved her granddaughter deeply. When Sage was 12 years old, she met her lifelong friend Shakira Washington, who lived just 2 doors down. The two were inseparable. They grew up together, went to prom together, and later even supported each other through their transitions. Sage's family said they knew she was gay from a young age, and unfortunately, that made things really difficult for her, especially at school. She even tried to play football in high school, but her teammates urinated in her jersey. That is so fucking awful, evil, and disgusting. This is the product of parents who don't teach their little shitheads to treat their peers with respect. Also in high school, she was returned to the care of her mother, but Latasha was later found to be unfit, so Sage ended up in the foster care system. It's unclear why she wasn't placed back with Cookie. I couldn't find any information on that. As a teenager, Sage came out as transgender, telling her friends and family she identified as a woman. Friends and family described her as gender fluid and not big on labels. What mattered most was that she was becoming more comfortable in her own skin and in who she was. Her family, for the most part, was accepting. The only disapproval came from her father, Dean, who had a hard time processing her transition at first. He told Sage not to contact him anymore when she first came out to him as transgender. This hurt Sage deeply, and rightfully so. He did eventually come around after his youngest son reminded him that he had always told his children to be happy with themselves. What a wise and compassionate young man. That's so awesome. A lot of kids don't think that way, but that is so kind. Sage did find the transition difficult, even though she was getting more comfortable with who she was by the day. The bullying and harassment was relentless. Despite this, Sage was described as a social butterfly. Her sister said she was, quote, a very out there, colorful person. She said she envied Sage because she could talk to anyone. Those who knew her said she had a presence that was unforgettable and a smile that could light up a room. Friends said she was known for being quite fashionable and liked to impress those around her. She took pride in the way she looked and would make sure she always looked her best before going out anywhere. Academically, Sage did struggle a little to maintain her grades, but that didn't stop her from being the first in her family to graduate high school in 2011. In March of 2012, she moved into her own apartment with her friends Shakira and Aubrey Carson, who was also a transgender woman. Their apartment was nicknamed the Dollhouse Mansion due to its pink walls and because the girls would often host parties. That is so cute. Oh, I want a dollhouse mansion apartment. Sage loved dancing, so much so she would make YouTube videos of herself dancing. Every weekend, she and her friends would get dressed up to go out to the strip club or the only queer club in Charlottesville. At the time, Sage worked at a local salon sweeping floors while attending cosmetology school, working toward her dream of being a professional hairdresser. She was building her life, chasing her passion, and finding her community. On November 19, 2012, the girls threw a party at the Dollhouse to celebrate Shakira's 19th birthday. What was supposed to be a fun night took a turn, and sometime in the evening, a girl showed up wanting to fight one of Sage's friends over a guy. During all this, Sage ended up having a physical altercation with one of the girl's friends, Jamel Smith, which is no relation to Sage. Police were called and arrived around 11:20 p.m. Jamel filed a report with the police saying Sage had damaged his car, but no one was arrested. But this left things tense. Afterward, Sage became mad with Shakira for not getting involved in the fight to help her. Because of this, Shakira contacted friends in Norfolk, Virginia, asking them to come get her for a few days, hoping a few days would give Sage time to calm down. This left Aubrey and Sage the only ones left at the apartment. The next morning, November 20th, 2012, Sage called her dad to congratulate him on his anniversary of being out of jail and asked him for money to get her hair braided. Thanksgiving was the next day. Sage was excited because she was planning on traveling to Louisa to spend Thanksgiving with her mom and her stepsisters. She was planning on surprising her stepsisters and was excited to see her mom's new place. That evening, Sage was getting ready for a date. Around 5:40 p.m., she woke Aubrey up and told her she was going to go out for a little while and would be back. But a few hours later, when Aubrey woke up, the apartment was dark and Sage wasn't home. Aubrey tried calling Sage several times. Sage didn't answer and every call was going to voicemail, which was weird. Sage constantly had her phone on. She even carried a charger with her to make sure it didn't die. Aubrey was worried, so she started reaching out to some of their friends. This is when she learned that Sage's stepsister, Kiara Morgan, had seen her around 6:30 p.m. walking and talking on the phone. Kiara overheard Sage say she'd be there in 5 minutes, but she didn't know who Sage was planning on meeting. When Sage still hadn't returned home by the next day, Aubrey called Cookie, who told her if Sage wasn't home by 10 that night to please call the police to report her missing. By November 22nd, 2012, police officially began their investigation. At first, they suspected foul play due to the fact that Sage was transgender. They contacted family and friends trying to develop a timeline as well as to see if anyone knew where Sage was. Aubrey later said she felt they weren't taking it very seriously, though. She said officers only asked for Sage's name, birth date, and a photo of her. That was it. You would think there would be a lot more questions than that for Sage's roommate, who was one of the last people to see Sage, but I guess not. Dean, Sage's father, was the one who had to inform Sage's mom that she was missing. Latasha was worried because she had been trying to contact Sage all day on the 21st with no answer, and the worry became more like panic when Sage didn't show up for Thanksgiving dinner as planned. Latasha tried to keep the news that Sage was missing from her younger daughters, but they found out on their own by seeing it on Facebook. I would feel so mad if my mom didn't tell me that my sister was missing and I had to find out on social media. Like, I know that she was probably trying to protect them, but I think that I would be mad. Initially, police classified Sage's case as a missing person case. They subpoenaed her cell phone data trying to get a picture of the movement Sage made the night of the 20th. Her family felt it would take too long, so they decided to take things into their own hands and try to guess her password. They were successful and gained access to her account. By doing this, they learned her last contact was with an unknown out-of-state number. Dean decided to post this number to Facebook to see if anyone knew who it belonged to. When a friend of Sage's named Yami Ortiz saw this, they contacted Dean to inform him the number belongs to a man named Erik McFadden. Ortiz told Dan that Sage and Erik had been dating, but McFadden had not come out publicly about his sexuality. Yami explained they knew this because they had gone out with Erik several times as well. They said that Erik contacted them on November 21st and asked them to remove his contact info from their phone. Ortiz said they didn't think anything of it at first until they saw Dean's Facebook post asking about the number. Erik and Sage had met online through a casual encounters ad that Sage had placed on Craigslist. The two of them had been texting and calling each other for several weeks. It was rumored that Erik was giving Sage money. According to the rumor, the money was thought to be either for prostitution or blackmail payments to keep Sage from telling Erik's girlfriend about their relationship. Ortiz provided a picture of Erik to Dean, which he also posted to Facebook, saying that he was the last person known to be seen with Sage. The problem was Dean wasn't telling investigators he was doing this private investigation of his own. He didn't want them to stop him from investigating. He felt that he was much faster, which I can see that. I know I would feel the same way, and I would probably be unstoppable. There would be no stopping me trying to find my child, for real. Police were not made aware of this information until Yami Ortiz came to the Charlottesville Police Department and told them about Sage's relationship with Erik, as well as the Facebook post made by Dean. That same day, they were also contacted by Esther Ivanito. I hope I'm saying her last name right. Esther Ivanito, to ask for a welfare check on her boyfriend Erik McFadden. She explained to them that she was out of town with family for the holiday and had been unable to reach Erik. Police went to their apartment and found no one was home. Upon contacting his job, they were made aware that he hadn't showed up to work for 3 days. Esther gave investigators permission to search her and Erik's apartment. They seized his computer and found a CVS receipt dated November 22nd. The receipt was later confirmed to be a purchase that Erik made. This information proved Erik didn't leave town right away. It made it seem like he didn't leave until after Dean Smith outed him on Facebook. However, it was also around the same time that people were connecting that he was the last one seen with Sage, or supposedly seen with Sage. You would think that he would run it first if he was involved, but it could also be argued he didn't think anyone would connect that the two of them were expected to meet that night, and that he decided to leave town when he saw that the connections were being made. Sage's family believed McFadden was involved in some way with their disappearance, and his actions didn't help ease that suspicion. All of this prompted police to make a public announcement about the possible connection between Sage and Erik's disappearance. They put out posters with their pictures and information about both of them around town, on telephone poles, at convenience stores, and on community bulletins. Once Sage's phone records came back, they shed more light on the evening she went missing. And in my opinion, kind of a little bit made McFadden look a little less suspicious. The records indicated that McFadden texted Sage multiple times, wondering where she was, but Sage was on the phone, so she wasn't seeing or replying to his text. Originally, it was thought that Sage was talking to Erik when her stepsister saw her and heard her tell the person that she would see them in 5 minutes. But according to the phone records, she wasn't on the phone with McFadden. I'm going to read the times to all of you so you can decide if it makes McFadden look a little less suspicious to you like it does me. 5:17 p.m., Sage sent a text asking McFadden when he was leaving. 5:20, McFadden responded saying he had already left and was at the Hampton Inn. 5:17 to 5:40, the two texted on and off. 5:40 p.m., Sage left her apartment and made her way to downtown Charlottesville. 6:08 p.m., McFadden texted Sage asking where she was. 6:12 p.m., McFadden again inquired about Sage's whereabouts. 6:18 to 6:37 p.m., McFadden texted Sage's number multiple times, but as she was on a call with a friend, it was unsure if she saw these messages. 6:27 p.m., McFadden got upset, texted Sage again, claiming that she had stood him up. 6:35 p.m., Kiara saw Sage walking down 4th Street Northwest near the 400 block of West Main Street in Charlottesville, and then at 6:40 p.m., Sage walked westbound on West Main Street, and that's the last time that she was seen. That was also the last time that her phone was used. Since Sage wasn't talking to Erik, who was she planning on meeting in 5 minutes? Why would she make plans to meet with Erik to only ghost him and meet someone else in the same area? I could not find any information on if the other number of the person that she was talking to was identified. Like, there was no information in the newspapers or any of the website searches that I did, so to this day, we're not sure who Sage was talking to, or it hasn't been released publicly, at least. During this time, the family held many vigils trying to spread awareness about Sage's missing person case. The hope was that someone would come forward with more information that could help them find Sage. On November 25th, 2012, Erik contacted Esther and told her that he was in Washington, D.C. She informed him that the police have been trying to talk to him and gave him their contact info. It took Erik 2 days to call investigators. which is weird. He admitted to officers that he and Sage had been having a relationship. He explained to them that Sage was supposed to meet him at the Amtrak station, but she didn't show up. The officer asked him if he could return to Charlottesville so they could talk to him in person, but he immediately hung up. That's not suspicious, like, at all. He later contacted Esther to tell her that he was going to come back and wanted her to tell the officers. But ultimately, an hour and a half before he was scheduled to board the bus home, he emailed Esther to tell her that he changed his mind and wasn't coming back anymore. Officers held their first public press conference for Sage's case on November 28th, where they stated this wasn't a criminal investigation because they had no evidence that a crime had been committed. The same day, police searched the streets and wooded areas near West Main Street before expanding the area to include McFadden's apartment complex. Investigators thought maybe McFadden could have exposed of evidence in the dumpster at his apartment building, so they consulted a trash expert who helped them figure out the dumpster at McFadden's apartment complex had been transported to a landfill 60 miles away in Henrico County, Virginia, which is right outside of Richmond, Virginia. Did y'all know that there are trash experts? Because I am just now learning this information. You learn something new every day. There's trash experts. Melanie Miller, pastor of Sojourners, I hope I'm saying that right, Sojourners United Church of Christ in Charlottesville, held a candlelight vigil for Sage on November 28th. She also headed up a search party on December 1st, 2012, where over 100 people came out despite the fact that she had organized it only the morning before. The Smiths did not attend her church, but she said she got involved because she felt she needed to fill a need. People like this always restore my faith in humanity. Like, they see something needs to be done, so they do something. By December 3rd, Esther received another email from Erik where he told her a completely different version of how the night that Sage disappeared happened. He told her that he actually did meet up with Sage, and that when they were walking down the road, a group of people approached them. He said that Sage has enemies, so he walked away before anything could happen. I'm sorry, what? First of all, if that was what happened, why didn't he lead with that story when he was asked initially? Second, would you just walk away and leave Sage if a group of people were like about to jump her? Not only that, anytime a person starts changing their story like this, it makes me very suspicious of them. I know in some cases things can be blurry, especially in traumatic situations, but you would know from jump if you actually were with a person or not. In the email, he also explained to Esther that Sage had been blackmailing him with threats of telling her about their relationship. He went on to apologize to Esther and tell her he was heading out west. Esther contacted police that day to inform them about the email. This, of course, made Erik McFadden the lead person of interest for investigators. They received warrants to check his computer, email, social media, and bank accounts. Apparently, they didn't receive any useful information from these searches, though. This makes me question if they did or didn't find any proof that Sage was blackmailing him. It was never said from what I could find, but you figure if they had that access that they would have been able to tell either way, but it was never released whether they had found that or not. Meanwhile, someone else caught their attention. The investigators had a watch on all of Sage's credit cards and bank accounts to see if she used any of them. So it surprised them on December 3rd when they got a notification that one of Sage's credit cards had been used at a convenience store. Come to find out, the person using it was Sage's roommate, Aubrey. When they asked Aubrey why she was using Sage's card, she told them that the three roommates shared everything and that she was getting groceries for everyone at the apartment. Please tell me why you would use the credit card of someone who is currently missing and by this point had been missing nearly 2 weeks. To me, this is totally suspicious because no one was even at the apartment with her. Shakira was gone and Sage was missing. Also, it is questionable that her alibi that she was sleeping cannot be verified. Additionally, in December, 3 searches were conducted. In the first one, they searched areas around Main Street as well as the area around McFadden's apartment again. They had the assistance of officers from Virginia Department of Emergency Association and cadaver dogs from Virginia Search and Rescue Dog Association. The second was a sediment pond that was searched with the help of a police dive team. Lastly, they searched the Henrico County landfill. That search group consisted of Charlottesville Police Department, personnel from the forensic and hazmat teams, 2 police dogs, and a retired special agent who had knowledge of landfill searches. Again, unfortunately, like the electronic searches, these searches produced nothing. Through the beginning of 2013, there wasn't much movement towards finding Sage. Her family had to worry about her through all of the holidays. I cannot imagine how painful that was to not have your loved one there, and even worse, to not know where they are. In February of 2013, a new eyewitness came forward saying she saw Sage at the Wild Wing Cafe that was connected to the Amtrak station at 7 p.m. the night of November 20th. Monica Williams told police that she had gone into the Wild Wing Cafe to pick up a to-go order when she saw Sage sitting at the bar. She said she knew Sage, so she spoke to her. Sage told Monica she was waiting for someone. This made investigators begin to wonder if Sage would have had time to see Erik McFadden before seeing Kiara and Monica. If this was true, it could mean McFadden is innocent. But if she had met him before, he wouldn't have been continually texting her during that time. Police asked the Wild Wing Cafe for surveillance video, but they unfortunately did not have any. They also asked the manager if the manager had saw Sage that evening. The manager told them that there was a group of transgender women near the bar that night, but he couldn't confirm if one of them was definitely Sage or not. I find it strange that it took Monica over 2 months to come forward with this information. Maybe she was out of town or something, I don't know. It just feels strange to me to wait so long to come forward that you saw her. May of 2013, investigators contacted the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children with the hopes they would help them get the word out about Sage's disappearance. They requested for them to add Sage's dental records to their national registry for identification purposes should Sage's remains be found anywhere outside of Virginia. I question why they did this but had not reclassified Sage's case yet to a homicide. I feel maybe if they would have reclassified it at this point, they would have had more resources they claim they didn't have because of the classification, as we will talk about later. 2013 also was the last time that McFadden contacted Esther. Prior to this, he would create random emails to send her messages every now and again. He would never use the same email more than once, so he would make it hard for investigators to track him. Around the time of the second anniversary of Sage's disappearance in 2014, police distributed flyers to local businesses along the main street, with special attention to the area where Sage was last seen. In the same month, November of 2014, investigators announced they no longer considered Erik McFadden a person of interest, citing the fact that their thorough searches into him didn't provide any evidence that pointed to him. They said his digital footprint for that night didn't line up with someone who could have committed this crime, saying he was online consistently from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. the night Sage disappeared, and was not searching anything suspicious, just the normal stuff he had searched previously. They added that McFadden didn't have the means to commit this type of crime, saying he didn't drive nor did he have a car, and that he lived in a heavily populated apartment complex, and someone would have noticed if anything like that was out of the ordinary. I can see these as pretty solid reasons to say he couldn't have harmed Sage. However, they never interviewed Erik in person at all. Not only that, there were several hours between the time he was supposed to meet Sage and when he was found to be online. I also question if he didn't at least know something, why did he run? And he still hasn't returned to this day. Some speculate he has passed away, but investigators do not believe that. Investigators received a call in January of 2016 from Chinco Teague, Virginia, 300 miles from Charlottesville, that provided a possible sighting of Sage. But when police arrived to check it out, they found that the sighting was actually Shakira Washington, Sage's friend. They interviewed Shakira while they were there and found that it had bothered her that Aubrey was using Sage's cards and other belongings like her wigs after Sage went missing. She told them she felt Aubrey wasn't being truthful about what she knew, because originally Aubrey told police she didn't really know Erik McFadden and had only seen him once in passing. But Shakira told them that wasn't true. There had been a meeting between Sage, Aubrey, and Erik before the 20th of November 2012. It was apparently found that they had actually hung out. This made police lean harder into their theory that Aubrey knew more than what she was telling them. Because of this, the investigators decided to double back and speak with Kiara again. They asked her about the relationship between Aubrey and Sage. Kiara told them that Aubrey had always been jealous of Sage. Is it possible Aubrey and Erik maybe had something to do with this? Could they have planned for the group of people to approach her? I mean, if that story is even true, we don't know if it's true because Erik McFadden gave two stories. Aubrey, however, held to her story that she knew nothing more than what she had already told them, and Kiara was misunderstanding the friendship that she and Sage had. Unfortunately, they had no type of evidence to prove that Aubrey was lying, so they had to go back to the drawing board. This led them to learning the wife of a man that Sage had been seeing found out about their relationship through email. This led the man to attack Sage, and charges were filed. Could Sage have been blackmailing this man like Erik McFadden claimed she was doing to him? Did this guy's wife find out because he refused to pay Sage, so she sent his wife an email with proof of their relationship? Or did she hack his email and come across their conversations? Regardless of how she found out, the suspicion towards him didn't last very long because, come to find out, he was incarcerated at the time of Sage's disappearance, and that is a pretty solid alibi. Investigators decided they needed to circle back to the happenings prior to November 20th, so they began looking into Jamel Smith, the guy she had got into a fight with the night before she went missing. Upon looking through Jamel's social media, they found that he tweeted on May 11th, 2013, quote, "I can't stand a N-word that wants to be a woman. I want a man who is a man, not a man who is a woman," end quote. They dropped the ball pretty hard here, in my opinion. Supposedly, they consider Jamel as a suspect, and Jamel doesn't have an alibi, but to this day, they still have not thoroughly investigated him, saying without evidence, they can't really investigate. What do you mean you can't investigate the man who got in a fight with Sage the night before she went missing? He could definitely have been and still could be looked into more. Tragically, this was not the only extremely questionable behavior from the investigators that led Sage's family to feel as though her case was being treated unfairly, different from other cases, mainly the reaction that Hannah Graham and Morgan Harrington got, as we covered before. Hannah's case received so much attention, so much so it was the most expensive search effort to that day that had been performed in all of Virginia. News trucks were everywhere when news of Hannah being missing broke. Chief Timothy Longo made emotional press conferences as well as asked people of Charlottesville and Albemarle County to check their land. He told the people that Hannah reminded him of his own daughter, so it was important to him. But the messed up thing is, Chief Longo actually knew Sage. Sage and her sister had carpooled with Chief Longo and his kids to school. To me, they both deserve the exact same energy and resources. Sage's family questioned if the reason for this is Sage's race and sexual orientation, and I would question that too, because helicopters were used for Hannah Graham, but not at all for Sage. Not only that, when Jesse Matthew ran, there was a nationwide manhunt with pictures plastered everywhere and all over national TV to look for him. But when it came to Erik McFadden, it was only the posters they had shared around town of Erik and Sage together in the beginning of the investigation. When Sage's family reached out to Chief Longo to express their concerns, it took him 9 months to contact them back to have a meeting with them. 9 fucking months, y'all. That is insane. I'm sorry, that is not doing your job. Cookie told the press that CPD treated them like this since the very beginning of Sage's case. That the first week of Sage's disappearance, she had contacted the lead detective on Sage's case, Mark Brake, several times and had to leave him multiple messages to get a return call. But when Hannah went missing, CPD was constantly speaking to the Grahams and seen in press conferences with them speaking about Hannah's case. Sage's case was definitely mishandled because it took them 2 weeks to interview Aubrey in person, and they never interviewed Shakira until they found her in Chico. Y'all, this is a hard one. And I've mispronounced it before, I'll mispronounce it again. Until they found her in Chinco Teague when they thought that she was Sage. And as we talked about, they didn't investigate Jamel properly at all. Also, people felt it took them too long to request outside help from state police and the FBI, when in both Hannah and Morgan's case, they asked for outside help almost immediately. Yes, it was true investigators did many searches and canvassed the area with flyers. However, there is no denying Sage's case was not at all given the same energy, attention, and financial resources as both Hannah and Morgan's case. That does lead you to believe that the only obvious reason is Sage's race and or her sexuality. Because of this, a petition was created to encourage the police to continue to investigate Sage's case and not let it go cold, as well as for investigators to have better communication with Sage's family. It also requests for investigators to look beyond just Erik McFadden as far as search warrants and questioning goes, with the added request for news media to use Sage's preferred pronouns and for CPD to make a public statement about the mishandling of Sage's case. All of these are beyond reasonable requests and should be the way it should have been from the start. But when CPD got a new police chief, he did reach out to Sage's family to acknowledge that his officers did drop the ball. I could not find if this was ever admitted to publicly, but I did notice when going through newspaper articles for this case, they did slowly start referring to Sage as her preferred pronouns. Finally, in 2016, Sage's case was reclassified as a homicide. In my opinion, this took way too long. Investigators claim they reclassified it so they could get more search warrants and be open to do more detailed investigating. But the mishandling continued with this announcement. They did not contact Sage's family to tell them that the case had been reclassified. Her family had to find out by reading it online in 2017. That is so disrespectful, and I do not believe anything like that would have happened in Morgan's or Hannah's case. And I feel confident in saying that after thoroughly investigating both of those cases prior to this one. In March of 2017, the investigators announced Erik McFadden was a person of interest again, but not as a suspect, this time as a witness. In May of 2018, they searched Sage's old apartment she shared with Shakira and Aubrey. It was said that the search took several days, but that no evidence was found. By June of 2019, Erik McFadden's mom filed a missing person report for him. According to her, she had known that Erik was missing since 2014, but thought that his father had filed the missing persons report back then. Which is crazy because it was Esther who initially informed the police that Erik couldn't be located. And why in the hell would you assume for 5 whole years? That is strange. Why would you assume that long about your child? She told police that she believed her son had passed away, but there is no proof of this. Police, on the other hand, think he is somewhere in a city blending in, living his life. They said they have pursued many leads regarding Erik over the years, but none of them have panned out or been useful. As of 2020, Sage's case is still being treated as a homicide and now has a $20,000 reward for any information leading to Sage or who may be responsible for her disappearance. To this day, not much has changed. The case is still in the same place. So let's talk about theories. The first theory is, of course, that Erik McFadden has something to do with Sage's disappearance, which is what most believe happened given the fact that he was supposed to be the one she was meeting that night. Also, how inconsistent his story has been, and that he ran after it was found he was involved with Sage and still hasn't returned to this day. The second theory is Aubrey did something to Sage, which is plausible given how she was using Sage's stuff and also had inconsistency in her story. The final theory is Jamel Smith has something to do with it. And I lean towards this one because he and Sage got into a physical altercation the night before Sage's disappearance, an altercation to the point where cops were called. Also because he filed a complaint against her about his car. Maybe he wanted to get even. Could he have seen her out the night of the 20th and decided to finish their fight? You could say that theory would almost fit in with Erik's second story. What if it's true and the group of people was Jamel and friends? It was noted he was really upset the night of the altercation. People also question if Jesse Matthew or Randy Taylor could have been involved with Sage's disappearance, but I could not find any kind of connection that would suggest that. They both were free and roaming during this time, so anything could happen, especially with the monsters like those two, but so far there's been no connections. Sage's family is still left without any answers. This has taken a toll on Cookie, who has been diagnosed with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and has had a triple bypass surgery since Sage disappeared. She said, quote, "I miss my Sage so much. I would give anything for my baby to walk through the door," end quote. Sage's mom, Lolita, said that she would keep fighting for answers until the end. Quote, "We have suffered enough. We just want our baby back one way or another," end quote. Dean, Sage's father, has said he has so much regret about how he treated Sage when she came out to him. He says that he now wishes he would have reacted differently and not lost any time with his child. Her stepsister said she wished Sage would have been around for all of her big life milestones, such as getting her driver's license and graduating from high school. Sage's family hopes that her case changes the way cases involving transgender individuals are handled in the future. Sage was last seen wearing a black jacket, dark gray sweatpants, a black scarf, and gray boots. Sage goes by the nickname Sagey or Unique. If you have any information about Sage or know someone who may know more that can help bring Sage home for her family, please contact the dedicated tip line for Sage at 434-970-3381, or you can send messages through her Facebook page called Hope for Sage. Cases that are much older than this have been solved, so I am holding out hope for Sage's family that they will get the answers they desperately deserve. I want to thank you all so much for listening. Please subscribe so you will be notified when new episodes drop. Also, please give your girl a follow on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. It's at This Doesn't Happen Here on Instagram and Facebook, and at This Doesn't Happen on TikTok. Also, if you could rate and review the podcast wherever you are listening, that would help the podcast out greatly, and I would appreciate it so much. Until next time, remember, pure evil doesn't have city limits, and this does, in fact, happen here.